How often do we hear the very famous axiom, know thyself? This was inscripted in the Temple of Delphi in ancient Greece. And I believe it to be the cornerstone of living a beautiful, virtuous, and enlightened life. Now, there are many ways in which we can know or understand ourselves, one of which could simply be to be oneself in order to know oneself. Or see what is reflected back to you through the trials and tribulations of life and what it teaches you about yourself. But what if there was an easier way, a much easier way? And of course, that way is through the science of astrology. I'm Kian the One. One with the sun. Today we're going to talk about the importance of your birth chart and why astrology can be used as a very powerful tool to know yourself. But first, I'm going to have a sip of this cacao. Astrology is an ancient science, and it was brought about in the ancient days wherein our ancestors would look up into the sky, and during that time, they did not have any light pollution. And because they didn't have any light pollution, they were able to see the entire starry night. And they began to notice particular phenomena happening when the sky was arranged in a certain order. There was a certain picture that was painted in the sky. Now, even in today's age, whether you have light pollution in your city or not, there are particular constellations that stand out and they are present at specific times of the year. For example, during the fall and winter months, we see the constellation of Orion, the warrior. Okay, and I think this is symbolic for me because Orion is the warrior. Literally, it is depicted as a warrior, like fighting a beast. And because of this, the winter and the fall and winter months, it was believed for us to double our resolve because the sun is growing weaker in power. And so, through the ancient times, through our ancestors looking up in the sky and correlating specific planetary and constellations and their place in the sky during any given time of the year, they were noticing certain patterns, certain things that were happening in and around those times. And so eventually they created a system in which was passed down to us. And I've said this before in my videos, and it is the fact that the planets are, in astrology, are simply symbols, and it's symbolism, okay? And these symbols correspond and correlate to specific things happening down below. I'm sure you guys have heard of the popular Hermetic axiom, as above, so below. What is happening above must inevitably happen below. And I have a couple of theories about this, and one of them is that we are not separate from that which is above. Yes, it may seem like we're having a very human experience, feeling human emotions, and we are separate from this rest of the infinite hierarchy that is the cosmos. But I am here to tell you, and even argue, that we are not connected, we are not separate from the planetary motions, and the fixed stars in the sky. It's almost like everything is moving in unison as one. And it is our choice to align with this harmonious movement of the cosmos or to go against the grain. Which is why sometimes, for example, yesterday I spoke about Mars retrograde and that it's coming up this Saturday, or this Sunday, excuse me, where it's going to go direct. We're going to stop the retrograde motion that we've been in with our desires and our action and our will since December 6th. Whew, it's been a while, guys. And especially in a sign like Cancer, where it's like, it's not so act now, think later. It's more so, let me feel into the deepest emotional truth and act from this place, which isn't bad, but this is not necessarily the nature of Mars. Okay, they say fortune favors the bold. And I think this is the perfect description of the archetype of Mars. Fortune favors the bold. And this particular Mars placement is definitely not bold at all. It definitely wants to feel into the truth of things, and, feelings are tricky because feelings or thoughts, even our actions, aren't exactly who we are. We're part of something deeper. Okay, specifically and especially, actually, no, I do say that, right? We're not our emotions, we are not our thoughts, and we are not our instincts. All right, we're something beyond all of these. So it is important to understand the cosmic flow of nature, the order, the perfect order in which nature exists. Because fall, winter must inevitably come before the spring and the summer. Rebirth and death are connected. There's a popular teacher that I follow, a spiritual teacher. He said that birth precedes death, which is very interesting to me. He says birth precedes death, okay? You're born first and then you die. And it's the same with the zodiac. The sun is born in Aries and it dies in Capricorn, which starts the winter only to be reborn in the spring. Now, again, it's important to continue to go with the cosmic order of things, the flow of things, simply because when we go against the grain, we're swimming upstream, swimming against the waves. But with a practical tool like astrology, we learn to surf the waves. We don't necessarily say, we're in this cosmic ocean, right? Today, the sun's still being in Pisces. We're in this cosmic ocean, this infinite vastness of life, and we're learning how to go with the flow, to surf the cosmic waves. And one of the tools that we can utilize is astrology. I love cacao, guys. The best. Now, what is a way, so why does the birth chart help us navigate and understand ourselves? If you are able to figure out the time that you were born through a birth certificate, maybe your parents or relatives or chosen relatives, you're able to understand the energetic imprint that was you upon birth. I look at it in a very abstract way, right? We're all notes. We're all this vibration in this cosmic symphony. Okay, and this cosmic symphony has equal moments of pressure, but also guaranteed moments of release. If you listen to any good music, there's always this interplay of tension and release. There's always a home base we return to from a journey that we go on. And if you understand this vibration through the art and science of astrology, you're able to decipher your wants, which is depicted by the sun, your needs, which is ruled by the moon, your thoughts and the way you communicate and exchange ideas, which is ruled by Mercury, Venus, how you love, what your values are, how you interact with others, Mars, your desires, your deepest desires, I would say, your passion, where your will generally goes towards, what you are attracted to, Jupiter, your faith, your ethics, your beliefs, Saturn, your responsibility to the world at large, and also your sense of discipline and duty. Okay, these are the 7 ancient planets. And of course, there are the 3 higher octave planets, Uranus, which rules where we belong in the collective, Neptune, our dreams, our fantasies, our connection to spirituality, and also Pluto, which is the soul evolution that we are here to experience, which, shout out to all my Pluto and Scorpio generation from 82 or 83 to 93, 94. So if you're able to decipher these kinds of things, then you have a better roadmap in understanding yourself. And through that, you can know your strengths, you can know your weaknesses, you can see how these different planets, for example, your wants and your needs, how do they communicate with each other? Right? Are they harmonious or are they at odds ends? Usually people who are born during a full moon are the ones whose wants and needs are at odds ends because their wants, their sun is opposing the moon, their needs. And then same thing with the other planets. How does the way you communicate interact with your sense of responsibility? Right? Mercury and Saturn. Are they harmonious? Are you always speaking the truth and what is right? Or are you shy and hold back in fear of what may happen? The sites that I personally recommend is astro-seek.com or astro.com. These are free websites. The only catch is you have to know the time that you were born. And from there, you will be able to put in your birth information and find out your sun, your moon, your rising, all the planets and where they are, and in what area of life that they are, because there are 12 houses in the zodiac. And each one represents a different aspect or area of life that is colored by a specific planet. For example, if you have Venus, the goddess of love, in your 7th house of relationships, expect to have harmonious relationships. Wherever Venus is, typically it brings blessings, as it is known as the lesser benefic. Wherever Saturn is in your chart, let's say, for example, for me, it was the 2nd house, of finances, of values, of self-worth. Saturn's lessons tend to be long and delayed, but once they are there, once they come to fruition, they stick around for a very long time to come. And so it wasn't until after I turned 30 that my 2nd house of finances, my values, my self-worth was really finished in construction, because Saturn builds, right? There was all these systems that were created in order for me to be who I am today and embody the values that I currently do. So this is just a glimpse, and your rising sign is basically the mask that you wear to the public, how people view you. And it's very important to understand these things because they're simply a tool, a roadmap. Cacao time. Cheers. So from this tool, you get a glimpse into who you are. Now, when it comes to astrology in general, I think it is important to realize that just because you know your birth chart doesn't mean you know everything there is needed to know about astrology. And I will tell you why, because your environment plays a very important factor. Your mom, your dad, maybe some siblings, family members, they were also the specific vibration that which was interacting with you, the specific frequency. And their chart interposed on your chart could have been a harmonious frequency with what you were emanating, or it could have been dissonant and there was disharmony. So the environment is also an important factor to take into consideration. Now, does it mean that your fate or your destiny is set in stone? This is a story I haven't opened up with to my audience, to anyone really, about how I got started in astrology. And it was simply an obsession with knowing who I am and my future. And I was like, what's going to happen to me? What are all these squares, these challenging aspects? And I had some intense ones as well. But as time went on, I learned that, one, any challenging or negative aspect you have may not be bad. It is not bad. You just have to work a little bit harder than most people. And two, some of the more difficult aspects in a chart are actually gifts in disguise. You know, if everything was too easy, if everything just happened for you and you didn't have to do much to earn it, then what would be the point of living life? We are here to experience a variety of experiences, and that includes contrast. That includes highs and lows. Otherwise, what would happiness be without sadness? What would pleasure be without pain? Now, the enlightened masters and sages of all time, they always recommended what's known as the middle path, to walk the middle path, because that was where they found inner peace. And that is the best advice I've personally received, especially as a Libra, right? Justice, the middle ground, always. So just because you have intense aspects in the sky or in your birth chart, or planets that are in signs, zodiac signs that they do not want to be in, that does not necessarily mean that you're doomed or God doesn't love you. We are here as human beings incarnate for the evolution of our soul. And this evolution can only happen where there is a variety of experiences available to us. Easy ones, hard ones. And if we choose to take the easy path, then we miss out on the full color and beauty of our life. Man, let's jump in the chat real quick. Shout out to Dean Davis. Shout out to Tina for being here. I feel like we should do some live readings. I had something else that I wanted to speak about too, though. And let me see if it'll return to me. I had this brilliant thought, I swear. It just like, it left. our free will is rooted in our ability to choose how we perceive what is happening to us. Because it's not so much what happens to us, but it is what we do to what happens to us. So yeah, you might have some challenging placements within your natal chart, but the understanding of those challenges gives you a tremendous advantage in dealing with them. Carl Jung says to bring the unconscious and make it unconscious, because if the unconscious remains just that, we will call it fate. Did you guys see that orb? We will call it fate, and we will be a victim of fate. But one thing that astrology has helped me in understanding and learning my natal chart is that it brought what was hidden into the light when it comes to my destiny, when it came to my purpose, when it came to what I liked and even disliked, where my strengths and weaknesses were. Because before that, these forces were largely unconscious to me. And the reason I do what I do today, as many of you have seen, if you've been a day one follower, I used astrology to predict price action in the crypto markets. And I must say that I did well, and they were accurate. And I think I'm going to do a content soon regarding what I think where crypto is headed as well for all my OG fans. But it was simply me tapping into, leaning into the unconscious forces that I know most people aren't aware of that are at play. Specifically Jupiter and Saturn cycle in Aquarius. I'm so curious to see what happens this summer. Like I said, June 6th, as these two square off, because we had this crypto boom in 2020, and it peaked in 2022-ish, and then we went into the bear market, and then recently we reached 100K. I'm so curious to see what happens June and onwards, because it is going to definitely impact the economic markets. Anytime Saturn and Jupiter are involved in any sort of conversation in the sky, it does have to do with the global or specific markets rising or falling. And it's interesting because they might be in harmonious aspects with each other, and it's still kind of the same. We're going to do some readings right here. So you guys drop your sun, moon, or rising, and I will tell you and channel an intuitive message for your sign. Anyways, such is so these are the reasons why your birth chart matters, because it is a blueprint of you. Now, there are always factors that are unknown to us, and I think it is important to honor and respect the unknown, because my experience in life, I have understood that truly, as God, as Source, reveals, at the same time, God, Source, the universe, conceals. So that there is a mystery to life, Because if we knew everything that was going to happen, what would be the point? Why would we live? Why would we incarnate to do what we came here to do? Well, I think this is extremely important. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's live. Dean Davis says, wish I could. I don't have that info. Tina, give Kian your info. I want to hear a reading. It's all good. Usually what I should do is put the sun, moon, and rising in the start of this. So when people come in through the vertical live streams, they're able to drop their info so I can get to them towards the end, which is totally fine. Well, I have some good news to share, guys. This appears to be my final form, all right? Shout out to one of my good friends. He was just like, hey, I think you should do this. I may change this to this side, but this is my final form. And it took about 2 weeks. We're officially 2 weeks into One with the Sun daily astrology vlog. I've been really enjoying this, truly. Coming here and speaking. It's always a refinement, obviously. But I'm pretty happy. And I got these like cool little lights behind me now, right? Give a little ambiance, a little glow into the background. And we got a new tripod that's like, boom, square in the frame in my face so I can be free and expressive with my hands. And all is well. Thank you guys for joining and being with me on this beautiful journey of awareness, of consciousness. We're still in Pisces season, obviously. We got till March 20th before the seasons change and we go into a fresh new start of life, of all that is. Make sure you guys are subscribed and hit the thumbs up. And join me daily at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm so appreciative of all the love that you guys have left. And everybody who does join the lives, much appreciated. It means a lot. Your support means a lot to me on this journey. And it is my intent to be of service and to bring value to each and every single one of you. Tomorrow, I am off. But I will see you guys Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, in being one with the sun. Leave in the comments below what the sun revealed to you today. And I hope you guys have an incredible weekend. And we will talk to you soon. Sending so much love, so much gratitude, so much peace your way. Take care, guys.